All right, so I want to take this moment. We're here on the convention center floor, right outside actually Hall F and E here. And I want to talk a little bit about just the floor in general, picking up exclusive swag, things like that. So first off, just focusing in on swag and just kind of convention employees at these booths and stuff like that. It's important to kind of be clear on a few things. So first off, just mindset. A lot of people approach acquiring swag and acquiring exclusives in a very kind of lackadaisical thing, and they think that, battling for Hall H or battling for Ballroom 20 is really a serious matter, and they can just kind of wander in for some of these other things. But at the end of the day, what I always contend is it's actually a much more fierce competition to get the exclusives or the swag, because in many of those cases, there's people here that you're battling this is part of their job. Like they're paying their mortgage and they're feeding their kids based on acquiring items here and reselling them. And so when you think of it that way, as much as you're battling to get close to Tom Hiddleston and there's crazy fans in there, they are not going to pay their mortgage and they're not going to go hungry as a result of it, and they're not putting $1,000 into that one moment of getting the money back. And here it is. There's a lot of investment. A lot of people are sharing rooms and coming in as teams. And so if you're not organized and have a mindset that you really want to get some of these things, you're just not going to get that fortunate with them. And so the way we look at it is it's very Darwinian. It's very much, eat or be eaten. And so for me, I'm trying to get everything, and I'm trying to get everything, and then I can reallocate it. So I don't want one t-shirt or one hat or one poster. I want 10 of them, and then I can give them to other friends at the show or even friends at home that couldn't make it to Comic-Con and help them out. And you're going to go up against a lot of people like that. And so it's just something to keep in mind in terms of that mindset. Now, on the other end, just as critical, if not more critical than your mindset, is the mindset of the convention employees. And what you have to understand is, obviously, San Diego Comic-Con is a couple days, and conventions in general are a couple days. And so the employees that you have working these booths and handing out freebies and stuff, they have other jobs. This is a temporary thing. It's for a weekend. And like most people, their jobs, they just want to do their job and get out of there. So most of them aren't looking to be ethical cops or things like that. And so if you make things easy for them and you're kind to them and you put your hand out and say please and thank you, it makes everything work much better. They want to get their items out of there. They want to sell all their exclusives and they want to hand out all the freebies. That's the goal. At the same time, they have a system and they don't want to be yelled at for doing their job a certain way. And they have bosses and things like that. But it's really important to understand that is they're not there really trying to be guardians of these things. But at the same time, they don't want to get yelled at by their guys, and they're not trying to hook you up as number 1,500 random person in line with your WB bag wanting to fill it up like trick or treat or something. So you really got to keep it kind of balanced and be appreciative of them, be kind to them, and always be open to talking to them in between. One of our kind of famed collections is getting the Star Trek watches, and they did a different color each day, and I think they were limited to like 200 in their freebies, and they were awesome. They went with the new Star Trek J.J. Abrams film, and they were really tough to get. And the way we were able to get all of them was simply talking to booth employees, checking back, being kind, and then battling when the time came to get in line. And so keep that in mind, though. They're here to get rid of their stuff. They want to get rid of all of it, but at the same time, they want to get their job and they don't want to get yelled at, like most people in their jobs. In terms of making things easy for people, though, keep in mind just how you dress. If you want to get multiples of things, because in most cases they're told not to give out 2 or 3 to you, to hand out one at a time and get back in line. Stuff like, wearing nondescript clothing helps a lot. If you're there with this bold, one-of-a-kind outfit on, you're going to stand out more. And the next time you come through, they're like, hey, I just saw you in that Game of Thrones cosplay, or whatever it is. And so plain clothing works well there. Hats that you can kind of flip around, take off, do different things with all work very well. They're not looking to be sleuths. They're not trying to Sherlock Holmes you and find all that out. But if you're too blunt about it, it can be really in their face, and then they have to say something or they have to do something. So that can help there. On the other side of it, when you're acquiring things, I know there's a lot of people don't like the WB bags, even with the backpack style, because they clog up alleyways and stuff like that. Again, Darwinian. I'm trying to fill things up. We fill up multiple WB bags in a day, but we also keep these. This is like a prized possession from Comic-Con. We have Walking Dead versions of this too, but these are like the perfect size for comic books, and the perfect size and easy to carry as well. So if you have anything like that, you may want to grab some of those and bring them with you. We always have one of those in a WB bag all day and just filling both of them up. At the same time, if anybody's giving these out, like the Walking Dead ones in the past, grab as many of you can if you go to a lot of conventions, because we use these at all the shows throughout the years, and we don't use the WB bag anywhere except San Diego. Now, one thing about just the focus on swag the last few years that's really important to understand is there's really been a shift in the last 2 years, and especially last year we saw it, to more of a focus on kind of qualitative experiences and signings, meeting stars, things like that, and a little bit less on just the swag itself, like items to hold. Not to say there still aren't posters or a Galactus hat or whatever these things are. There's still going to be a lot of stuff you can find out there, but more and more are going with these models. Like Hasbro was one of the first ones to really use, or Maddie, where you pick up tickets and you come back later for a signing with a celebrity, and maybe you buy an exclusive and bring it and get it signed. And so keep that in mind. Last year we stumbled on some really cool things, like an X-Files signing. A couple things with Hasbro. Dave Filoni did like a sketch type thing from Clone Wars, and a poster and stuff. And so we would come to those things, and they're different than the traditional, like here's your little toy or here's your little hat or whatever it is. But think about that as you're looking at that. You know, Falling Skies did a big group signing with a cool poster and stuff. It's going to take a little bit more time, but what you're going to get out of it is a nicer overall product to leave home with than just another random Mossman deodorant or whatever from Mattel. That being said, trade system can be really important because no one's going to get everything. Everybody's going to end up with some things they want and multiples of other things. Think about using a trade system. If you have a big social group yourself, great, use them. Feel free to use me. I do a lot of retweeting of, matchup. Hey, I have an extra Monster High doll, but I'm looking for an Ever After doll or whatever. I just got one of those yesterday that they're already wanting to match up. WB bags, usually I'm one of the people at Comic-Con, or I guess I think I'm the only person that does this, that people will contact me and say, hey, I have a Batman one, but I want to get a Godzilla. And I'll retweet, and that way the people in my social network, you guys can meet up. I don't want to be there and introduce you, but you guys can meet up wherever and make your own agreements. But that can really help with exclusives, as if you can get 2 Jabbas in the Hasbro line and you really want that Monster High doll for your daughter or whatever, for yourself, you can meet up. They get you a Jabba, you get an extra Monster High, you trade it up. Saves everybody a lot of time. I can't encourage that enough. And so feel free. It is crazy the amount of tweets I get during San Diego. So, they may be a little bit of a lag time of a half hour there from time to time, but I'll definitely be retweeting all of them as I get them. And if you ever find that I miss you, just please tweet it back at me and I'll send it out there. But that trade system can save a lot. I mean, I have so many people that tell me how many hours and hours and hours it saves and how much joy it adds. So think about that. All right, so kind of making our way through the booth to kind of hit on a few things is if we are entering at the Ballroom 20 side of things and we're making our way from Hall H really down, there's going to be a lot of barriers to the exclusive run in the morning or to the run of swag. And so you've got to really think about your time. You're going to go through Artist Alley. You're going to go through a lot of other kind of nondescript booths that are selling poster tubes and all kinds of random things. And then you're going to hit the big booths. And you really want to make sure you're spending all of your time that first half hour. And remember, although they says 9:30, the show floor opens. It's usually open by 9. It's very much like In-N-Out says 10:30, but it really opens at 10. That idea, a lot of times, is it's not that they have to open at 9, but many times they'll open a little early for you and get you in there. So you've got the WB booth. It is crazy. If you're going to do that, that's going to kind of be your one stop. I don't really have any advice, but just jump in the back of the line and wait it out. For me, I usually like to try and hit a bunch of different booths at the same time. And so we'll hit Mattel, hit Hasbro. Now, if you're looking at Mattel and Hasbro, they've moved more towards that signing model I talked about. So you can talk to employees there. Don't wait to find anything on Twitter because you won't. But ask the employees for a schedule, and you can find each morning they're giving out, and at different times of the day, they're giving out cards to say, hey, come back. So we got, Larry Hama to sign some of our G.I. Joe comics, and Ashley Eckstein doing some Star Wars stuff. Last year I was able to get into a signing with got an A-Team signing. It was basically, wow, I'm drawing a blank on the names, but Face and Murdoch were there, and so we were able to get in line, get their signatures. Then as I was in line, I noticed, and this is the type of thing you notice, there was a little sign about, hey, if you get a selfie on Twitter with the A-Team van, you get this free, it was a Battlestar Galactica vehicle. And so as I'm in line, I just snap the quick selfie, post it on there, get to the front of the line, show it. Now I get this $20 exclusive for free. So it's really much more about working smarter and not harder, although that first half hour is frenzied and you are all over the place. And so with Mattel and Hasbro, both of them, watch, a lot of times they'll have the deck of cards in their hand that have signings, and it may be only like 50 or 100 people for later in the day. Ask around, acquire those, and see what you can get. Even if you don't like the signing for yourself, you might be able to gift it to someone or use it as trade later. Hey, I have a card to be able to go to this WWE signing, but I'm not even a WWE fan. Does anybody want to trade something for it? All of it has value, all of its equity, and you can use it later in the day. So Hasbro, Maddie are side to side there. We make your way across them. Then the next big stop for us is really that Lego, Marvel, DC area. And so Lego has become pure madness. And the minifigures, because they've reached that $300-$400 price on eBay, it's basically become a system where they've moved it all outside, and I'm guessing that's not going to change. You line up an hour early out there, and then you have like a 1 in 10 chance out of these 1,000 people to get it. Last year, we just abandoned all hope on Lego. In the past, we were always getting our little minifigure away. Another way to get minifigures, though, is to stand in line, ask questions at some of the panels, and if you see that Lego is associated with them, some of them, like for example, last year Teen Titans Go, we had a friend that got 3 or 4 of them. His kid asked a question, his other kid asked a question, he asked a question. They were all able to go to the booth and get minifigures, so that's a way kind of around that. But besides that, Lego has gotten so messy. We've really stayed away from it in everything almost. Then coming over to DC Marvel. Marvel is madness. They do their little show every few hours there where they have the MC on stage, and it's really slow and it's really laborious, and to me it's really annoying all the way around. That being said, they are handing out every once in a while those posters, and those posters have great value. Last year, the Guardians of the Galaxy ones that they were doing, those were going for 30, 40 bucks on eBay. Remember though, if you don't get those things there, that's a good example. 30, 40 bucks on the day of and the week after. I saw it then 2 weeks later at Stockton Con for $5, and so you can go on eBay right now and get it for $1. So the point is don't make everything just about getting those items, but make your list. Maybe say, I'm not going to battle that crowd for Guardians of the Galaxy. The other thing about the Marvel booth is height helps a lot there. Is a lot of times you're just reaching above people if it's on the stage and if it's in the front area. Since they added the Marvel shop, it's become a whole nother area of another line winding around. So Marvel's a good booth to stay away from if you can, because the posters rarely have value afterwards. The free comic book days are just what they sound like. They're free comic books, and there's not a ton else besides that the last couple of years there. Lastly then, DC. DC is famous for tons of pins and tons of comics. Again, comics are free comic book day comics, and the pins are usually ones you can get from your comic dealer for free as well, 50 cents, $1. They're usually handing out throughout the day. Now they have done things like the famous Wayne chips, which were awesome. They've done the rings before. They've done other things, but don't find yourself getting too wrapped up there. They'll also do signings, and that's where I would focus more. It's like, okay, Jeff Lemire is going to sign at 4, and he's going to have this print from his new run on Justice League or whatever it is. One of our favorite times I was getting J.H. Williams to autograph a really cool print from Sandman, and they allowed us to get, from the new Sandman run, to get 3 of them. And so we took care of some friends, we had our own. It was this awesome thing, and it was all free. And it was, again, a higher quality item, but it was because we weren't getting all locked up in looking for pins and free comic books. That stuff's going to be there, and don't get bogged down in it. So again, use all the social systems, tweet me questions, ask me as we're going through the time. There's tons of stuff it can help you with. We will be all over the floor, so there will not be much of the convention that we won't be familiar with. So feel free to use us and just hit us up.